Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be looking at systems of linear equations word problems. This is the last topic in the heart of algebra, which is the first group on the SAT math portion. As always, we're going to be looking through 5 questions that are explanations and the intricacies of this topic so that you can ace the SAT math portion. If you like these videos or found them informative, please be sure to like and subscribe. And with that, let's get started. Question number 1. Ji-hoon and Kana are running a marathon. Due to the volume of people running, the starts occur in waves. Kana starts at 9:35 a.m. and runs at an average rate of 7 miles per hour. Ji-hoon starts at 10 a.m. and runs at an average rate of 8 miles per hour. Assuming constant paces and no stops for the nearest tenth of a mile, in how many miles will Ji-hoon catch up to Kana? All right, let's see how we're going to approach this problem. Well, we can simply set a variable, right? And set x to be the number of miles that each of them runs, right? So they're both starting at the same point, meaning that they're both going to, since we're stopping when they catch up to each other, they're both going to run the same distance, right? So if they both run the same distance, we can call that distance x miles. And that's going to be equal to two things. It's going to be equal to 7 miles per hour times the number of hours. Right? In this case, the number of hours, you can count the number of hours starting at 10 o'clock. So this is going to be the hours plus the extra 35 minutes she was running before Ji-hoon started. Meaning this is going to be h plus 35 over 60 because you're adding 35 over 60 more hours. And this is also going to be equal to 8 miles an hour for the h hours after 10 a.m. So essentially, we can get rid of this x allowance in the middle and just say 8h equals 7h plus 35 over 60 is going to be 7 over 12. So 7 times 7 over 12 is 49 over 12. And that means that h is going to be 49 over 12. And now we can substitute that 49 over 12 as h, and we can evaluate it. And we see, because we can use our calculator on this question, and we see that this is going to be 32.6666 on and on repeating, which is also in fraction form 98 over 3. So 98 over 3 miles is how far that was run. 98 over 3 miles is around 33 miles, which is longer than a normal marathon, right? So let's recheck our work just to be sure, right? So we have the 7 times h plus 35 over 36. Now the way we can do this, right? We can look at it this way. So Kanas had 35 more or actually something so obvious that I really should have caught it earlier, which is that it's not 35 minutes, this is 25 minutes. This is why you check your work. 25 minutes. This is 25 minutes, is 9:35 to 10 a.m. is 25 minutes. So this is going to be 5 over 12, which means that this is going to be not 49 over 12, but it's going to be 35 over 12. And 35 over 12 times the 8 is going to be 23.3 repeating miles. Right? So this is why it was good that we checked our work. Right? Because you never know when you mess up something, even if it was a small error. Even if you just, like right here, right? You just mess up like the number of minutes extra, right? That still could lead to a completely wrong answer. Now we have 23.3 miles, which is shorter than a total marathon. So we know it's at least a bit plausible, right? But we still want to make sure, and the way we do this is by thinking about the fact that Kana had 25 more minutes. In those 25 minutes, right, she would have ran, she or he, let me know. But in those 25 minutes, she would have ran, in those 25 minutes at 7 miles an hour, she would have ran 2.91 miles. Right, 2.91 miles is how many miles that were ran in that time. And since for every hour, Jihoon runs one more mile than Kana, Jihoon catches up a mile for every hour. So it's going to take 2.91 hours for Jihoon to catch up with Kana. Those 2.91 hours, like those 2.91 extra hours, since it's Jihoon running that much, and that's how long they're both running for to catch up. So that's going to be the same as Jihoon's hours, which is 8 miles an hour. So multiply that, and we still get 23.3. Right? We take that 2.91 hours, we add it with the 25 over 60 hours, then multiply it by the 7 miles an hour, and we get the same 23.3. And that's how we know for certain that this is our correct answer, right? If they're asking to the nearest tenth of a mile, so we don't have to enter it as a fraction or anything. And this is our answer. Let's move on. Question number 2, and here it is. 2 groups of campers went out for ice cream. The first group paid $41.60 for 5 large cones and 11 small cones. The second group paid $40.90 for 10 large cones and 4 small cones. What is the cost of a single small cone? Well, we can start writing some equations for this, right? So we have 5L, right, for large cones, plus 11S, which is 41.60. 41.6. And then on the other hand, we had 10 large cones and 4 small cones. And that was 40.9. Now what can we do? Well, we can multiply this top equation by 2 to get 10L plus 22S equals 83.2. We subtracted this part out from that, and we end up with these cancel out with each other, and we're left with the 18S equals, you can bust out the calculator, and we get 42.3. Then we divide by the S to get the cost of one small cone to be and that's going to be 2.35, $2.35, which is answer choice A, the cost of one small cone. And we are done. Let's move on to the next question. All right. So, next question. Todd purchased beef and chicken from a local butcher for his barbecue. The beef cost $8 per pound and the chicken cost $5 per pound. He bought a total of 15 pounds per meat and the bill came to $94.50. How many pounds of chicken did he buy? Now, what we can do here is we can set up the linear equations. We can say $8 per pound of beef and $5 per pound of chicken. And that's going to add up to 94.5. While the total pounds is going to be this. And then we can multiply this by 5. And we get 5b plus 5c equals 75. We can subtract it out so that this cancels with this. And we have 3b equals 19.5. So there's 6.5 pounds of chicken, or a pound of beef bought. So the amount of chicken bought was 15 minus that, which is 8.5. So our answer is 8.5. However, there is another method to do this wrong. This is the method I like to use. And it really is the same concept as simply setting up those equations, except it's a little fine-tuned and it's a lot faster, because once you've done a lot of these problems, you get an intuition for how you're supposed to go about doing that. So here's how I do it. So we have, they're asking us for the pounds of chicken. So we're going to assume that everything is beef. We're going to assume everything is the opposite. We're going to assume that it's all beef. And if it's all beef, 15 pounds of meat at $8 per pound, that's going to be $120. $120 of it's cost $120, but we need to get it down to $94.50. So using a calculator, you can find that this is a difference of $25.50. $25.50. Now what? Well, we have our 15 pounds, and we're not going to have more or less than that 15 pounds. We're going to have to keep it at 15 pounds. So if I switch out 1 pound of beef for 1 pound of chicken, then I get rid of $3. But I'm still saying with the same number of pounds, but I'm adding or subtracting here $3. So I'm subtracting $3 per pound. And well, how much does it take to go to, well, we're trying to get negative $25.50, right? So we're trying to go down that much. So if we divide this out, we get, it's going to take 8.5 pounds to get down to here. And 8.5 pounds of chicken to get from the cost of $120 to $94.50. So the answer is going to be 8.5 pounds of chicken that it takes to get down to this cost. So our answer is 8.5. That was the streamlined version, and we're going to try to use this version of the method. We're going to try to use both. We're going to use both of these methods. We're going to emphasize the second method if we get more questions like this in this topic. But that is the answer to this question, and let us move on. This seems like another question where we can do the same thing. So we have $2,000 total, and the first type is $32, second type is $48, and there's a total of 47 shares. So we can say the first type is F and the second type is S. So we can say the money, right? So the $2,000 is the total money, which equals the 32 times the first type plus the 48 times the second type. And F plus S, total number of shares, is 47. And we multiply this all out by 32, and we get 1,504 for 32F plus 32S equals 1,504. So we subtract that out, and this cancels with this, and we end up with 16S equals 496. And we divide out by 16, we get that S equals 31. So it costs 31 of the second type of shares would cost. That's $40. So the answer is going to be 31. Right, now let's clear the drawing. Let's write 31 up here as our answer. So let's try to use the other more streamlined method. Right, so here's what we're going to do. So they're asking us for the $48 per share stock. So we're going to assume everything is the opposite, the $32 per share stock. $32 per share stock, if it was all that, it would be 47 times 32, which is 1,504. All right, as we found, the difference is still going to be 496. And we gain $16 each time we switch out. So dividing by 16, we get 31. 31. Right, so as you can see, it's the same method. Right, we went through the exact same steps. It's just that it's a way to do this kind of problem without having to write down a bunch of things. Now, saying that, don't go using this method as soon as you can. Make sure you do some of these problems with the first method, and you understand where this method is coming from. You understand the concepts associated with this kind of method. But once you do, you can use this method, and you'll fly right through these problems. Right, so here are the problem. The answer is 31, and let us last question. All right. A cleaner is sold in low and high concentration so that customers can combine amounts from each in order to obtain a desired quantity and concentration. The low concentration is 3% pure cleaner and the high concentration is 18% pure cleaner. How many liters of the low and high concentrations must be combined to obtain 10 liters, that is 8% pure cleaner? All right. So 8%. So, okay, so essentially what we're going to do, right, we're going to assign the low and the high. This is the amount of liters of this and the amount of liters of that one. And we're going to start writing down some equations. So the total is going to be 10 liters. So L plus H has to be 10. Right? Now, how much is there of each, right? So there is 0.03 L, that much is pure cleaner, and 0.18 H is pure cleaner. And out of the 10 liters, 8% is pure cleaner, which is going to be 0.8. Right, now what we can do is we can do the same thing as last time. We're going to take the first equation and multiply it by 0.03 because we don't really have a way to take this equation and make it like that. So we're just going to go the other way. Times 0.03, right? And then we subtract it out and we end up with 0.03 and we end up with 0.15 H equals 0.5. So then we have 0.5 and we divide by the 0.15 and we get 3 1/3 liters of high, which would be 6 2/3 liters of low. So essentially we can write L is 20/3, H is 10/3. And in questions like these, I do want to introduce this other method, which isn't really as much of a method as it is a astute observation of by which you can solve the problem. But it's really just, let's do this first of all, right? And we know that this is our answer right here. That's our answer. But let's think about what we've gotten, right? So we have a 3% and we have an 18%. And we're trying to get to an 8% in the middle. Right, that's what it's supposed to be when combined. The difference, okay, let me use a different color. The difference between this and this is 5%. And the difference between this and this is 10%. So the difference between the high cleaner is twice the difference between the low cleaner, which means that inverse, if we take the inverse, that means that the amount of 3% is going to be double the amount of 18%. All right, because it's kind of like a weighted average kind of scenario, right? If you can imagine that, right? It's basically like if we use double the amount of this part, right, then we push it over more to this side, right? So we're using double the amount of 3% as 18%. And since we have 10 total, then the 3% is going to be 2/3, the 18% is going to be 1/3. So 2/3 of 10 is 6 2/3 of low, and 1/3 of 10 is going to be 3 1/3, which is high. And that is the same as what we found here, and that is our answer for this question. Well, that is it for this topic. That is it for the heart of algebra. Be sure to tune next time when we start on our second topic, the Passport to Advanced Mathematics, where we learn to apply the skills we've learned here in algebra to a wide variety of topics. Until next time, I'll see you later.